Hey guys, Static here, and today on Dungeon Guide we're going to be covering Veteran Hard Mode City of Ash 2. Here in City of Ash there are a lot of skips you can use to cut down on the time it takes to complete the dungeon. The first one being this waterfall. You gotta be careful when jumping down or you'll hit the rocks on the way down, so aim carefully. I'll speed up the footage here to show that you can skip almost all of the mobs at the beginning of this dungeon, leading up to the entrance to the interior of City of Ash 2. This group of stranglers is the only mob between you and the entrance to the interior of the dungeon where you'll find the first boss. This boss actually has two minions with him that will teleport around the room, one being an archer and one being a mage. His main attack is this large AoE, which hurts quite a bit and will knock you down, so watch out for that as he does it quite often. He also does heavy attack uppercuts, as you see right here I catch one. The mage and the archer both have fireball attacks that result in spreading flames on the ground, which you'll see here. The only difference being the mage can also summon an Atronach and will continue summoning Atronachs throughout the fight. He is also a healer, so you want to take him down quick, as he'll heal himself and he'll also heal the other two bosses. The archer also has an attack where he'll turn to a random party member and try to apply a dot with a flaming arrow, as you see I dodge roll here. The kill order I like to use for this fight is mage, melee, and then archer. After defeating this boss and his minions, enter the giant red portal at the end of the room to enter the interior of the dungeon. Throughout the interior portion of this dungeon, you'll find a lot of the same mechanics in the mobs as we found in that first boss fight. The melee units will be using uppercuts and giant AoEs that knock the group down, and the healers and archers will be utilizing flame attacks. This boss has a lot of flame attacks, as most do in this dungeon, the first being AoEs placed on the ground that you just don't want to stand in. The main mechanic this boss has is the ad summoning. They actually have a decent health pool, so you want to kill them pretty quickly or else you'll get overrun as she doesn't stop summoning them. Between the AoEs on the ground and the ads that she summons, these are the only real mechanics this boss has. On the way to the next boss area, you'll find a long bridge. You actually don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this bridge, as the longer you're on the bridge, the more enemies come from the end of the bridge through the mobs. So it's actually a good idea to make big pulls here to get to the end of the bridge as soon as you can to diminish the amount of mobs that you'll actually be facing in the long run. Outside of the next boss area, you'll find a Flame Colossus, who acts just like other Colossus in that he summons skeletons, with the exception that they also emanate fire damage and then poison damage when they die. Besides this difference, he just has a regular conal attack like any other Colossus and doesn't do anything special. After defeating this boss, be sure to run over and taste some of this tasty pie. You get an achievement and a nice die out of it. This boss is a DPS check. I want to present two options for groups. If you have high DPS, you can do the burn tactic, which we'll showcase here in this video. To do this, your group just focuses on the boss 100% and ignores all of the ads until he dies. The other option, however, if your group does not have the DPS to do this, these ads show up at HP percentages of the boss. So, when you see ads come up, you stop attacking the boss. You go, clear the ads, then you come back and fight the boss, burn him down to the next HP percentage where ads show up again, and repeat the process. Make sure your tank points the boss away from the rest of the group so you're not going to get hit by his flame conal while you're taking care of ads until the next HP percentage comes up. Try it both ways. But in all honesty, most groups cannot burn this boss. Most will have to take care of the ads when they spawn and go back and forth between ads and boss. As you're running down this long hallway to the next area, you'll notice a familiar smell. It's in this room to the left, and if you missed the opportunity to have your pie earlier, there's another piece right here. As we exit the long hallway, you'll see a bunch of lava in front of you. This is the next skip. Now if you're a dark elf, it's your time to shine. You get to go swimming in some lava. We'll just hug the left side of the lava here, all the way to the end. There's one specific location where you can get up. It is possible to get up without a mount, but the best and easiest way is to get all the way up into this notch as far as you can and then mount up and jump. Congratulations, you've just skipped a bunch of mobs and your next boss area is up on your right. Next up is the Ash Titan. Now first things first, he's going to have a lot of AoE on the ground, so you want to stay active and mobile during this fight. The next thing is your tank is going to want to turn him away because his conal attack is very wide sweeping and will hit the entire party unless he points him away. The next thing is there's going to be a crazy firestorm, so as I said, stay mobile and you won't die here. Next, the boss will make his way to the first pad and summon the spinning flame monster. Now, if your tank is squishy, he's going to want to kite throughout this entire section. The Titan is going to summon a second flame monster. It's worth mentioning that the boss is not damageable during this time when he's summoning these monsters. Now with two flame spinning monsters, your tank is definitely going to want to kite while keeping aggro on the boss and keeping him pointed away from the group. This will give you time to get up behind him and keep DPSing until he dies. When the boss dies, the ads die, the fight's over. In the next area, you'll come to this drawbridge. Get your AoEs ready. A bunch of those exploding skeletons are running across this. If you're on the edge when they die and you're not blocking, you could get knocked off the edge and have to start over at the beginning of the dungeon. After you come out into the next open area of the dungeon, you'll clear some mobs and then you'll get to this lava. This is another skip. Now, you may be asking yourself, do I really need to use these skips? Well, here's something to keep in mind. Even with using all of these skips in this dungeon, this is still going to be one of the longest dungeons in the game with the skips. So if it breaks your immersion, don't do it. But if you want to save a little bit of time on an already very long dungeon, go ahead and use it. The next section your group has just skipped to has a left and a right wing. So make a decision. All of you go up either the left or the right. They're both identical in the sense there's going to be waves and waves of mobs to clear at the top of each one, ending with a little mini boss on each side. After clearing all of the mobs on a wing, a lightning mage will appear. The first attack being a lightning strike straight out in front of them. There will also be an explosion and storm atronachs that are summoned. The mechanics shared between the bosses on either wing are exactly the same. The only difference between the two is the mage on the left wing actually uses a two-hander and the mage on the right wing uses a staff. So there's just a difference in light and heavy attack variations here. After defeating the bosses on the left and right wing, the bridge will form itself, leading you to the final boss, Valkyn Skoria. The scroll to activate hard mode on this fight is in the back right of the room on an altar. Reading this scroll will remove 2 of the 5 platforms in this room. This turns this fight into much higher of a DPS check. The reason being, throughout the fight, Valkyn Skoria destroys these platforms, and you run out of areas to fight him on. His first mechanic is a random fireball he'll turn and shoot, which you can block, as I do there, or dodge roll. Notice that Wiko is healing us from the center platform. She doesn't need to worry about any mechanic of his other than that random fireball shot because she's over there. She always stays one platform ahead of us. His next attack is placed on the ground where flames will shoot outwards in all directions, so you want to kind of keep your distance from that. After a certain amount of time, he is now going to destroy this platform. Move on to the next one and have your healer or range DPS go to the third platform where they can range attack and heal. After destroying a platform, the boss will immediately do this charged attack and summon adds, so make sure your healer is paying attention and is ready as it requires some heavy healing. Your tank is not only going to have to focus on blocking heavy attacks, but also keeping aggro on all of the adds, just to keep the pressure down on the rest of the group. As if there aren't enough mechanics going on at one time, there are also random fireballs that shoot out of the pools of lava, which deal substantial damage. On to the last platform. He will once again do his charged attack, so your healer has to be ready with heals and summon Atronachs. I suggest ignoring these Atronachs and just focus on burning this boss down before he destroys your last platform, as you'll just have a couple pebbles to stand on around in the lava if he destroys it. The key to this fight is really getting a good opening burn on him, so make sure you're dropping your ultimates along with war horns and timing everything accordingly, and just keep pressure on him. This is a DPS race. If you don't have the DPS, I suggest trying not going for hard mode and just accepting one key. Thanks for checking out the video, guys. Please smash that like and subscribe button below for future content releases. I really appreciate the support everybody's been showing me. So I want to just say thank you to each and every one of you. It really means a lot to me. See you guys later and catch you next time.